Okay, Lightbrite back, doing chapter 24. We have all known now that Mr. Griffith has my husband's file on his desk from August 30th, which at that time he said he would make his decision on the commutation, and it would probably be done somewhere around April the 29th, 08. So this, to me, meant the finalization of the claim, and my commutation money and our mortgage and debt would be taken away, and we could therefore start over in a lower class wage rate, which is what it appears is going to happen anyway. But that's not the case. April 28th came and went. Mr. Griffiths decided not to do anything with the file until Jamie was reassessed back in motion. He also told me that it would be 2 weeks in back in motion, and he would also need a letter explaining why he made it that far, right up to certification. How in the hell did he make it through 3 years of schooling before they noticed this? Now, I'm used to, when you have children and you're kind of making excuses for getting bad marks, but this is a new one, folks. Having to write a letter to explain why the said worker did so well is just terribly sick in my books. But anyways, I wrote them a letter because Greg wanted one, so I'll read it to you guys. As I go back to the beginning of Mr. Larwell's case, I am once again reminded of how hard and diligent, optimistic, and determined he is to reach his goal of certified automotive service technician. The reality of this, however, is he probably will not succeed with the ending process of passing the provincial certification exams, and this is when his present employment will end and all the mechanic shops in Golden will hear about it, thus hindering him further to secure a place for him for the future. Please keep in mind that this is my realization, as the memory issues Mr. Larwell has leaves him oblivious to these facts. September 03, Mr. Larwell enrolls in the College of the Rockies, Golden campus, to obtain the prerequisites needed to obtain entry-level status for acceptance into a 2-year automotive service technician certification program offered at SAIT in Calgary, Alberta. His instructor was, because Greg wanted me to put this down, so did Colin, so I put her name down, and the address and the phone number. It did not take long before the instructor noticed something was not right with Mr. Larwell and eventually asked him. This was a blessing, as his instructor witnessed firsthand the struggle Mr. Larwell was having and let Jamie rewrite tests sometimes 4 times to achieve success. She would also allow many open book exams and lots of one-on-one help. Mr. Larwell knew he needed high marks in order to have some verification in the end that would land him an apprentice position, for he had no transferable skills post-injury. He needed to be fully retrained. The instructor also submitted a letter to the administration office at SAIT to help Mr. Larwell attain a spot in the automotive service technician program. And I sent the letter that she sent, it says attachment 1, and I sent that to him also, just to prove what I'm saying is right or correct and did happen. At the end of the courses, Meg sat with Mr. Larwell and explained a college like SAIT would not let him rewrite exams and that maybe the AST program would be too difficult for him. He replied by telling the instructor failure was not an option, for his future and family depended on it. Upon completion of the prerequisite entry courses, see attachment 4, and I had the documentation, GED or grade 12 was not attained or needed in order for Mr. Larwell to enroll into SAIT on September 2004. It was not long before the instructors also noted something was not right with Jamie and asked him about it. Mr. Larwell explained his situation and then over the course of about 2 weeks demonstrated his determination and dedication to his studies. Mr. Larwell would arrive for classes at 7 in the morning and leave on many occasions at 6 or 8 o'clock. He would consistently read and use flashcards, access homework tutors, and was also taken under the wing of one of the top students in his class for coaching. Mr. Larwell was relentless with this. The instructors did in fact allow Mr. Larwell open book testing, many rewrites, and sometimes let him take home a test a week in advance in order to help him achieve the goal he was determined to finish. The shop teacher and theory instructor for the transportation department did submit a letter to WCB to let them know he was struggling and noted that he worked hard to compensate for his disability. See attachment 2. I sent that letter along included. He really wanted Mr. Larwell to exceed. He also said to Mr. Larwell it had been a long time since he had saw so much undying determination and devotion to his studies. The marks Mr. Larwell received were not an easy task. His wife tried to create an atmosphere that all he did was work on his studies. His family worked hard at not creating stress or distractions, and even on the weekends the flashcards were flashing. Unfortunately, without the steady in-stream of knowledge and the constant review of the information over and over and over again, Mr. Larwell just does not retain the memory. This is demonstrated by the marks of his provincial certification test. He did go and try. As with any disability, one has to change and adapt, but sometimes it is just so tiring and disappointed. I, Carrie Larwell, am proud of my husband to have gotten this far in his goal, but at the same time I am sad, as the realization of just how my husband struggles every day to hide his discrepancies. That's the letter I sent him. And then I got the attachment. So after that letter, he said that's all he would need. So of course I got that all done, and I was watching the dates. I phoned him and asked him if he got that. He said yes. At that time, he also needed a report of some doctor report that we had gone for in 2003. Obviously, WCB had lost this report, and they wanted me to know if I had it in my records, and I did, so I faxed it over to him. So therefore, I thought he had everything he needed. And then he could finalize everything and get on our way. But that didn't happen. When and after we came back from Richmond, Colin told me that the Richmond team requested that Jamie come for 8 weeks, steady. I told him it would be too hard for his brain, but we would agree to 2 weeks in, 1 week out, until 8 weeks was up. I didn't want to do this. I was told post-injury after 2 years you couldn't do anything like that, and he was getting pretty mixed up every time when we got on the plane and we were in Richmond. He was pretty stressed out there, but of course you have to do what WCB wants to do. I asked Colin what I should do. I phoned Greg. I says, what do you think I should do? And he says, you better go. He better get you in there, and you better go. So I agreed. So that took up our whole summer. Our whole summer, in which that summer our teenage son turned 16 and got his driver's license. Major stress. I had major stress. Our cell phone bill for that 10 weeks was $500. Not even for the 10 weeks. It was just for the 1 month in the month of July or June. July was it was a 1 month bill, $500. Because I had to find out where my son was all the time. I had to keep tabs on him. It was just a stressful time. At 16 years old, you don't need your diaper changed, but you certainly need to be monitored, because at that age, you can make one mistake and it could affect your entire life. Just one stupid mistake. So therefore, he would need some guidance, is what I felt. Okay, so now I've got the letter in, I've got the other thing Greg wanted in, we've got the thing done for the 2 weeks, that's been done, it's still delaying the whole thing. So now I'm shutting down, I'll do chapter 24, and thanks for watching me. Lightbrite out.